Na, 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 na. All right, let me see here. Dun, 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 dun. Hey, Kara. Yeah. Can you log into that? I want to see. I am logged into your YouTube channel. Yeah, I want to see what it looks like. Okay, you're there. Huh? Do you see me live right now? Yeah. Can you hear me? Talk. La, la, la. I see you looking at your. Yeah, I'll show you. Yeah, let me see. What do you see?
It's a little delayed.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Did you remind everybody on?
Hello? Hey, Kara. Can you log into that? I want to see. Yeah, there's a 30-second delay. Yeah, I want to see what it looks like. Oh, we already have 27 viewers. Oh, there we go. Come on, light. Let's go. Turn on. There we go. Hi, guys. My name is Jason Lanier. I am here in my showroom, and I'm going to share just a few things with you guys today. Wanted to touch base with all of you. I appreciate you guys coming on today. We're going to have a good time. I'm going to take a list of questions. Come on, man. What's going on? I have the force. Use the force. There we go. The camera's having the webcam's having a hard time picking up on which exposure level to do. So I might just make it pop on here. Let me see. There we go. Okay. So welcome, guys. This is my first ever live stream on YouTube, so it's super exciting for me. It's a new venture. I've done a lot of live streaming on different in different ways. I've done them with when I've done private webinars. Private meeting people have paid for them. We've done 20, 30 people. We'll probably get a few more than that tonight. But you know, this is a new venture. So a couple of things that I ask you guys in advance is number one, be patient. This is the first one that we've done. We've tried to get all the kinks worked out, but sometimes you don't know what the kinks are until you do something like this. So we're working on it. If you see me glance down, that's just because where my computer is. But we try to set up a separate webcam so you guys wouldn't have to deal with a crappy quality from a laptop. So I hope that helps. On the right side of your page, from what I can see, there should be something for a group chat, and I want to be able to answer your guys' questions. So give me some feedback as to whether or not you guys are able to hear me. We've already checked it with my wife. She's able to hear me, so that's pretty cool. But you know, give me some feedback as to what you guys are seeing. Let me know. I think that the thing that's going to be hardest in this is going to be for me to figure out how to do the questions. Again, once we get used to this system, I don't think that's going to be a problem. But right now, it's a matter of me learning that. In the group chat, I think there's a place. Let me see. Can you type here? Hey, Kara. My wife has disappeared on me. What else is new? Okay, I'll get in trouble for that one. Let me go through here. I'm gonna log into the video, guys. I'm gonna look at. Yeah, hon. Do you have? Can you view the video? Because I'm trying to see what. I thought I would be able to see them, but I'm not able to see them.
Where would I see the questions?
All right. Let me
Okay.
see here.
Well, it's still 30-second delay, but
Okay, just take it a while to figure it out. All right, let's go here. So what I'm going to do today, guys, is kind of go through a list with you guys. I have some of the questions here that I'm going to go through. I'm going to look at what some of the folks have asked me. I am going to choose this one. This is from Jesse Hankins. Thanks, Jesse, for being here today. First question is, I have two questions. Is the Metabones adapter autofocus Nikon lenses with the A6000? It's a Sony question. And I shot a lot of sports teams and need a good portable lighting system to shoot large groups. Any suggestions? Okay, so a couple things on that. First and foremost, the Metabones, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's a proprietary thing. I don't know if it's a thing between Nikon and Sony. There has to be something going on, because with the Metabones adapter, Metabones makes obviously one for Nikon mount lenses, and they make one for Canon mount lenses. Canon users have an advantage over Nikon users if they're looking at going to the Sony system, only because the Canon lenses will autofocus, whereas the Nikon lenses will not. The plus is the Metabones adapter for a Nikon is a couple $100 cheaper. But yeah, if you had that autofocus ability, that would be amazing. The second thing to that end is understand something, and I want to make something clear. When I did this 10 reasons video for Sony, which is going nuts, it almost has like 200,000 views. But when I did it, people, immediately, there's a lot of positive feedback, and I thank a lot of you guys for that positive feedback. But there's always negative, and some of the things that people said were, oh, you don't list any of the negatives. And the reason for that was I didn't list the 10 reasons I almost didn't go to Sony. I mean, that's just stupid. But what I did do is I listed the 10 reasons why I did. Are there drawbacks to any camera system? Absolutely. Now, speaking specifically to the question that Jesse asked, are there, can you autofocus? With a Nikon, you cannot. So you have a couple different options available to you. Number one, you're going to have to use focus peaking, which is in manual focus, which if you guys have seen the shots I've been posting recently, like the 14mm Rokinon lens that I've been using, is the Rokinon Cine lens. It's actually a Nikon F-mount lens that I use with the Metabones adapter on my Sony a7S, and it enables me to take amazing shots. You guys have seen some of the shots I've been posting on Facebook. Almost all of them have been with that Rokinon lens in manual focus. But I know, you want to be able to autofocus, because sometimes things move real quick and you're a little sketchy, or you don't want to miss something if the manual focus isn't working, or if you're not quick enough, or if you're not spot on. So in that regard, you're left with a couple different options. If you're going straight E-mount and you're not going with one like the APS-C, if you're going APS-C size sensors, which is like the A6000, the E-mount lenses are pretty darn awesome. The Sony 50mm 1.8 E-mount, it's like $250, $300. It's a great, it's fantastic. I mean, if you guys look at a lot of the shots from Ethiopia, a lot of those are straight out of that 50mm 1.8. I mean, it's stuff that'll win awards, stuff that'll, I'm gonna, submit it to contests, National Geographic and stuff. Believe me, it'll do really well, and that's just out of that little camera. Second thing is, Sony has what they call an LAEA4, which is an adapter for the full frame cameras, like the A7s, that allows you to put Sony A-mount lenses. So the Sony DSLR lenses you can put on your A7s and get some amazing results. That way you can do some full frame functionality with all of the autofocus capabilities. Now, the lenses that are made specifically for the A7 series are the FE mounts, which stands for full frame E-mount. They have about 6 or 7 of them right now. They're really good. They're really, really good lenses. I just shot a 2-day commercial shoot in Louisiana with the full frame E-mount lens, actually the kit lens that came with the A7, and it did remarkably well. Autofocus was amazingly quick, just super awesome awesome camera. So all I can tell you is it's well worth it if you guys take the time to learn that camera and to learn those different lens systems. So let me see if I answered all the questions Jesse had there. Okay, the second question, I shoot a lot of sports teams and need a good portable lighting system to shoot large groups. Any suggestions? When it boils down to that, what you're looking at is, are you going to use flash or are you going to use video light? When it comes to flash, what I would recommend would be the Interfit system. You could use some of the other ones that are out there, but the Interfit system is going to be your best bang for your buck. It's incredibly powerful. It's very reliable, and you know, you can get the Pro Flash 180s, the Pro Flash 360s for about, I don't know, $500-600, and they do great. I'll show you one. Let me grab one right here. Like this is one of the. Make sure you guys can see it in the frame. This is one of the Pro Flash 360s, the Strobies by Interfit, and it's a super cool light. Again, this thing's I think $500-600, but it comes with a battery, comes with the cables, and it's, you know, like compared to Quantum, you know, you can buy a Quantum one, but it's going to be twice as much. And it's just, I mean, it fires. So there's that. And then if you're going to go video lighting, you can go with either, you know, a non-camera flash, but if you want more, then you can use some of the video lights. The video lights that I'm using, I'm not sponsored by them, but all right, guys. I get lots of questions about these lights. Lots of questions. You guys see these in my production shots. You see me using them all the time. For the record, I'm so tired of people saying I'm sponsored by people when I say stuff. I'm not sponsored by Sony. Now, in all candor and all disclosure, since I released that video, Sony's contacted me. We haven't come to an agreement yet, so who knows? But I'm still not sponsored by Sony, and I had zero communication with them prior to that video. Now, in regards to this light, this is a light made by Flashmate Gistech. I'll write the name out. I actually brought a little whiteboard. I thought I would try to be real guys today. This, isn't that high tech? Flashmate. All right. Let me see if I can get it. All right, there it is. Flashmate. That looks crazy. The Flashmate Gistech. Okay, there you go. Flashmate Gistech. And you can't see my face, but it's probably better for the video. But this light is crazy, and let me show you why. I have no affiliation with them either. I just tell you guys what works. And if I ever have a sponsor that their stuff sucks, I dump them. It's not worth the money. I'd rather have a very reputable name and people know that when I tell them something, it's worthwhile rather than make a few bucks. And along those lines, guys, a lot of photographers who throw that out there, oh, you're just sponsored, you're sponsored. You have no idea. It's not easy to get sponsorship. You guys think that those just grow on trees. You think one of the three major camera manufacturers like Nikon, Sony, and Canon, you think they just hand out sponsorships? You guys are crazy for those who think that. So again, yes, Sony's contacted me, but nothing. We haven't come to an agreement yet. In regards to this is super cool for a couple reasons. I picked this up. This is not some big expensive light, and if you have a couple of these, and I usually have assistants at my shoots, what you can do is you can take them and they'll light, you know, and you can light different selections. I don't know how big of a group you're talking about for your sports team, Jesse, but you can take a look at it. Now, here's why I love it. On the back, make sure you guys can see this. On the back, here's the power control, has a dimmer, and here is the white balance. Here you can adjust your tone. Okay, so that was something that was very important to me. The other thing that I love about this is a lot of the times, you know, you get into trouble where you only have a battery, and this battery is a Sony battery that I had for my really old Sony lights. And Sony lights are so popular, at least in the video world, that a lot of the light manufacturers fitted their lights so you could use Sony batteries on them. So that's super cool. So you can buy these batteries anywhere. This battery just slides on, just like that. Okay. Then you just turn the baby on. Okay. Blind you guys a little bit. And I'll show you how it adjusts. See how it goes from real blue to real warm. Now again, let me turn it down, maybe it'll help. But you see it really adjusts the temperature. See, now it's very blue. Now it gets warmer. See that? And this is super cool. Now let me tell you what I really love about this. This is the best part. You know, one of the biggest problems as photographers, you're really worried about the battery running out. Now this battery will last like 4 hours, which is cool. But if this battery runs out, it's not a big deal. And I've had this happen on shoots. What I love about this light is you pop the back open. And you can put batteries in it. Isn't that awesome? It just takes little double A's. That's what I love. So this is the Flashmate Gistech. Now the model number is F-198C. So again, it's the Flashmate LED video light Gistech, model number F-198C. I hope that's helped. Let me see what other questions you guys have for me. I wish I could see the chat in here. I don't know what's going on with the chat. Let me try to figure the chat out real quick, guys. Hang on. Bear with me. Bear with me. All right, here we go. All right. All right, so let me figure this out. So this is our first hang up so far. I'm not able to see any of the chat. That's not good. Are you guys able to see this? All right, so I just put something out there, guys. I'm curious to know, are you guys able to see whether or not, are you guys able to see the chat on the right side? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Can you see the chat on the right side? Now, this took me to the Google Plus Hangout. Let me see here. It's a beta test, so thanks for hanging with me, guys. I'm trying to figure out this system. I thought I'd be able to see your chat questions, but I'm not able to see them. So let me see here. Live control room. Maybe this will be it here. All right. Let me see. Okay, here we go. Now I can see some comments. That's awesome. Oh, I found the comments. Fantastic. Okay. Peter says he can't wait. He's really looking forward to it. That's awesome. All right. So Randy Morse asked, Jason, first, thanks for doing this. Second, my first question, can you please explain more about the video lights you use, how you incorporate them? So I just talked about the video light, so I'm not going to bore you guys with talking about the actual video light itself, but I will talk about how I incorporate them into my shoots. Something that's important for you guys to understand is when you are doing photography, you have to know the difference and the time to use natural light, to use video light, to use flash, and off-camera flash. And you guys not understanding, or any photographer not understanding when to use those, they're making a mistake and they're really cutting themselves short and their clients short. So using video lights, you guys will see me use these a lot, you know, my production images. Pretty much as a general rule of thumb, there's always exceptions to this rule. There always are. But as a general rule of thumb, you're going to use natural light whenever you can. I mean, natural light's beautiful. Natural light's going to give you a soft fall off, you know, unless you're shooting at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and it's right above them. But natural light's always going to give you a really beautiful look, which is what you want. As it relates to flash, with flash, what you're going to do is you are going to use flash when you need to overpower the sun. I love using flash during the day. I love using off-camera flash and on-camera flash when I need to overpower the sun to do some fill-in light, to do things of that nature. Flash also gives you the opportunities to be able to create some really dramatic results. I mean, if you're looking for high contrast, really striking images, flash allows you to do that because of the fact that it throws so much power. I mean, unless you're carrying a portable, you know, studio with you everywhere, the flash is going to be the way to go. Otherwise, you'd have to use video lights that are as big as the sun. As it relates to video lights, for me, everybody's different, but for me, you know, I know some photographers, they'll go into a reception hall, they'll go wherever else, and they'll set up a flash, and they'll put flash on, you know, on triggers, pocket wizards, radio poppers, whatever, and then they'll fire. Again, you can get some cool shots like that, don't get me wrong, but the way that I have learned to really control my light output and to get amazing results without having to worry about shadows. See, the big con to flash photography are shadows, right? And so when you use video lights, it negates and mitigates the effect that flash has, the negative effect that flash has on your pictures. So with these video lights, I have 2 of them that I pack in my bag. With these video lights, I'm always going around and I'm lighting my subject. So what you're doing, guys, is you're exposing for the background, right? That's how I get that look where people think it's fake, right? Because I expose for the background and then I use video light or an alternative light source to light for the foreground. So that really helps me to be able to get the results that I want. So I incorporate video lighting into my shoots when I need to get more of a more romantic, softer look. Flash can have a very hard, dynamic, and contrasty look, which is awesome, but you just have to know when to use it. So I hope that's helped. Next question here. And you guys keep on putting this stuff in. Now that I found the comments, now I'm going to be able to toggle back and forth, which is going to really help. Okay. All right. Cody, you don't like my monitor? It's not the monitor, brother. I've already tested it out. Believe me, it's not the monitor. It's the webcam. So we might have to do a different webcam. All right. So he did it in caps. I think that's funny. Let me go here with the Drum Rider. How's the kit lens with the A6000? There's a bunch of different lenses. You know, the A6000 pretty much comes with a 16 to 50 kit lens. It's a pretty good lens. It's pretty good. I don't really use it that much because when I bought the A6000, I went and bought a bunch of different lenses. I bought some Sigma lenses. I have a Sigma. I have the Art series for the Sigma E-mount lenses. I have the 60, the 30, and the 19. And those have really helped me. From the Sony side, I have the 55 to 210, the 50, and the 16. That's pretty much what I use for the Sonys. But the kit lens is pretty good. I mean, it's not, I would always, you know, urge you or you know, encourage you to go to a prime lens. But yeah, the lens on it is pretty good. Next, Mark Salmona, say hello, send a hello to Canadian Bacon. Canadian Bacon, hello. It's very nice to talk to you again. He came to a workshop in New York, and we gave him a bunch of crap about being from the 51st state. And they wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the United States. But there you go. Let the Canada hate mail begin. Cindy Talley, I'm new to taking pictures in manual. Where can I learn more about this? www.jasonlanierworkshops.com. Seriously, come to a workshop. And I know that people may say, oh, well, it's not so easy to come to a workshop. Honestly, in the future, I might put out some videos that have some input as to how to learn manual. But manual is something that you have to practice. And one of the biggest things that I tell all of my photographers or my students is, nothing in the world can replace practice. There's nothing. Even at this stage of my career, I shoot more than anyone I know. I shoot all the time. I'm always practicing. And for anybody who's been in one of my workshops, they'll tell you one of the things that I really advocate is doing a bunch of free shoots. Now, I'm not talking about free shoots for, your family. That doesn't count. The reason it doesn't count is because they're gonna either love or hate what you do, but they're not really gonna give you that real client interaction and interface that you'll get by shooting with a model. Go on to modelmayhem.com and buy, put a casting call out for a model. I think that would really help, and that's what I did. I went to a bunch of Salvation Army stuff like that, and I bought a bunch of stuff and wedding dresses, and I threw them on models. We did a bunch of TF shoots, which means time for, and I learned, and I really cut my teeth that way, and that's what I'd recommend to you guys. Man, you guys are just popping questions. I love it. All right, I'm trying to keep up here. Okay. All right. So with the A6000, what would you recommend for first prime lens other than the kit lenses? I would like to move into some portrait and wedding stuff. Well, you definitely go with the 50 millimeter. That's for altered designs. Go for the 50 millimeter 1.8 lenses, off the charts good. If you guys saw my shoot inside of the inside of that abandoned church in Detroit, that was with the 50 millimeter 1.8. And also, believe it or not, that 55 to 210 Sony, you can get that for like $250, $300. That's a pretty darn good lens. I mean, it's got some great optics, and I know people bag on Sony lenses all the time, and I just laugh. Look, I get so sick of people who do pixel peeping, and all they do is at this amount, put on the nerd with the glasses with the lab coat, and he's looking at some stupid chart. I don't care about stupid charts. I care about how the pictures look. I mean, I wish the industry would start to focus on how things look. I mean, we are photographers, right? So it doesn't mean that I completely throw away and trash people needing to understand the technical side of it, but there's so much of it that doesn't even matter. You know who it matters for? It matters for Nikon, who makes the stuff, or Sony, or Canon, who makes this stuff. For the people who take the pictures, like a histogram, I don't know, it looks like mountains. When you're actually shooting, one thing to keep in mind, guys, when you're actually shooting, are you going to stop and look at your histogram? It's ridiculous. It makes me laugh. There's no way you're going to look at your histogram when you're shooting. Maybe if you're doing a very controlled shoot, there's no time constraints, so on and so forth, but really start to understand that, guys. You're not going to use what a lot of people teach you in real world applications. You're not. Okay, like whenever I shoot lions or bears or whatever, I'm in Africa or Alaska, I'm not freaking putting a Sekana light meter out next to a lion's mouth and hope he doesn't bite off my freaking arm. That's so stupid. So understand, you need to start learning how to shoot in your camera, and you guys can do that if you come to a workshop. But I'm not a book learner, just so you guys know, if you can't tell. Everything that I've learned has been based off of trial and error and practice, and that's the way that I teach. So for those people who learn everything by the book, my way may not be your way. But I guarantee you, I've taught a lot of people who do learn by the book, and they've been very surprised at how quickly I'm able to teach them. Thomas Mulligan, do you ever use color gels on your flash? No, never. I adjust all of my tone based on just using Kelvin and the white balance. So no, I don't use gels. Nothing against them, but I just don't. Like my shooting style is very much a guerrilla style, meaning it's a minimalist, and that's why some people who know me, switching to Sony made a lot of sense for me. Smaller cameras, smaller gear, more compact, and the output is tremendous. So, but no, I don't use gels. Steven Swinarski asked, and you guys are asking so fast I can't keep up. I can't afford to switch systems at this point. I shoot a D7000, I shoot manual, but still feel like I'm not getting better. What do you do in post-production that makes your pictures pop? It's not my post-production. It's funny. And you can come to one of my workshops, and when you see the shots in the back of the camera, that's why I try to do so many straight out of the camera shots. I try to post on Facebook. It's why I try to do so many of the things to really show you guys that I'm getting this in camera. Sure, post-production is important, but the way to really achieve the pop in your images is through light. It all boils down to lighting, and so the way that I light is critical, and it really enables me to get the desired result that I want. For years and years I photoshopped. I haven't edited an image in Photoshop in over a year. It's just the truth. I don't edit in Photoshop anymore. Again, back to I'm more of a minimalist. I want to shoot, I want to edit, and then I want to shoot. In other words, I'm trying to shrink my editing time as much as humanly possible. I don't want to be stuck behind a computer. I'd rather kill myself. People ask me about editing workshops all the time. I'm open to doing editing workshops, especially workflow workshops. I think that would be highly beneficial for a lot of photographers to see how quickly I can move through my work. For about a 2,000-3,000 image wedding, I'll edit it in about 5-6 hours. It's the truth. And if you kind of want to, if I do an editing workshop, I'll show you how I do that. Why do I not do the editing workshops? I'm going to be completely honest with you. They bore me. I did editing workshops when I first started doing workshops, and I could not wait to get out and shoot. It was like a caged animal. So, but I'm getting so many requests to do the editing workshops that I will incorporate that into some of what I try and do in 2015. One idea that I have out there is to, I have my real wedding workshops, and I could do this for the shooting workshops as well, but one idea that I'm floating is, and we'll see if people grab onto the idea, then I'll do it, but is to tack on a third day for editing, so we could shoot 1-2 days and then tack on a third day for editing. That would really help people. For the real wedding workshops, I thought about doing a business side and editing on that third day as well, so maybe that would help. Okay, Leslie Reyes. Hi, Jason. Hi, Leslie. Kayla, how did you get started in photography, specifically weddings? Did you do it part-time, then eventually full-time, or did you jump right in it? If you watch how I got started in photography, I go through the whole story, so I won't bore those who have watched it. I was volunteered to do photography by my wife. Volunteered me to shoot my sister-in-law's friend's wedding, and I had no idea I was going to do it. And I sat down for Christmas dinner, and Carly said, "Hey, thanks for shooting Brittany's wedding." I said, "What are you talking about?" And so, long story short, this is a very abbreviated version. I met with them. They loved me for whatever reason. I had no portfolio. I started shooting weddings. I didn't have any weddings on the books. That was in March of 2007. I didn't have any weddings on the books. And then I went and shot that wedding, and I loved it. And I ended up booking another 30 weddings, 35 weddings in that year for that year. So I booked and shot another 30 after March, so beginning of April. So it was a really awesome thing for me. I was a hotel executive. I was making very, very comfortable 6 figures. I had stock options with Starwood, all that stuff. And when I told them I was quitting, I did both for about 6 months. And when I told them I was quitting, they literally laughed. I mean, I was an executive, and it's what I went to school for. And I still remember the guy. He said, "I'll hire you to shoot my kid's birthday party." And I had a few nice words for him, but I just told him, "You're not going to be able to afford me." And now they call me up from time to time for favors, and I tell them, "No, I'm not available." So the bottom line is, I got into weddings doing that. I had a very unconventional route, but How did I book those other 30, 35 weddings? That's a question I could anticipate you guys asking. I went onto a website called webplan.net, and they've changed their name, but if you Google them, they'll come up. And that's where you bid on weddings. And so what I did was I started shooting weddings all over the U.S. because I wanted to be a destination wedding photographer. And I ended up shooting weddings pretty much just for what I could get, because I wanted to build a portfolio. And so, you know, if I charged them $1,500, but then I went and flew to Florida from California, fare and rental car and food, I made $200 on the whole thing. I didn't care, because my whole intention was to be a destination wedding photographer. Because guys, whatever you want to be, you have to pretend to be it before you're actually it. Guys need to understand that. You have to emulate what you want to be. You know, a basketball player, those kids play all their entire life before they make it to the NBA, right? You have to emulate what you want to be. You can't just sit on the sidelines and hope that it comes to you. So, business info would be the bomb, says Q88. So yes, I'll incorporate business. I'll help you guys sell. I know, straight up, whenever I do business stuff, people book weddings, and I can give you testimonials, like straight up testimonials from people who they've met with me and they've hired me for a private session. I've given them business techniques, and they'll tell me they're booking weddings like that. A lot of times people book a lot more weddings after the real wedding workshops. So keep that in mind, guys. The real wedding workshops, no one else does them like I do. People are copying me now, which is fine. It's flattery, but come to one of my real wedding workshops. It'll change your perspective on weddings, because they're real. We've had drama at the workshops, drama between me and the brides, or me and bridesmaids, wedding planners, whatever. And I handle it like I would a normal wedding, because I think it's so important for you guys to see that. So Kayla asked, how did you get those weddings? Word of mouth? No, you guys got to understand something. Word of mouth for wedding photography is not what it's cracked up to be. People like to tell you that you're going to get all the word of mouth. It's not going to happen. You might get some, and I certainly get some, but not nearly as much as people led me to believe that I would. So what it boils down to is you have to get out there, you have to work, you have to hustle. And if you really want to book weddings, here's the key. You got to go to venues, go to wedding venues. Don't worry about florists, don't worry about cakeries. Why? They don't hire you. They hire all those people after they choose a photographer. So if you make buddy nice with the florist or the cakery or the DJ, they're not hiring those people before they hire a photographer. So in other words, if you're buddies with a DJ, he's not going to be able to refer hardly any business to you. Whereas if you're buddies with either the bridal store or a wedding venue, see, there's 3 people that get hired, and all of them are different orders based upon each and every bride. But they're going to hire either the venue, the bride. They're going to hire the venue, buy the wedding dress, or hire a photographer. Those are one of the first 3 that happen. So you need to be buddies with those first 3. That's the key. And it's even the venue. I mean, the venue before the wedding dress. They got to make sure a venue's available so they can pick a date. Once they pick the date, then they can hire a photographer. So get buddy with wedding venues, guys. Steve Abrams, any news on your next workshop? Yes, guys, I'm sorry. I'm coming out with a whole new list of dates. We're going to do some crazy dates next year. I want to do some in Paris, France, not California, but I want to do some in Paris. I want to do one in Scotland. I think Scotland would be really cool. I've been to Scotland and I freaking love it there, and just the shots are tremendous. Get a bride in a bridal gown with the castles. Be amazing. So, but yeah, I would. Other locations, definitely New York, West Virginia. Phoenix is going to have to happen at some point. If it's not this month, it'll happen. But man, Phoenix has to happen. Definitely going to hit Florida. We'll have a lot of dates. Now, what I'm going to be doing is starting this month, I'm going to be opening up applications for brides to apply to be a real wedding. I do have already a few real weddings booked for next year in California that I just haven't had time to put up on the website. So we do already have some booked for California, Southern California for next year. So stay on the lookout for that. Yeah, they might. Q88 says they might be wet folio. They might. I don't know. Dalton says, Jason, I'm having trouble understanding how to expose for everything in an image. Can you elaborate on how to expose with natural light? Oh, by the way, I failed to mention, I have to go to England. I have a lot of followers in the UK. I definitely want to go there. Oh my gosh, and Ireland too. Ireland would be awesome. I've been to Ireland before, but I'd love to go back. Let me see. Okay, how to expose for everything in the image yet, guys? That's not easy to do, and I don't mean to put you guys off, but for you to achieve the results that I achieve, you're gonna have to invest in some learning. I'm not trying to just give you guys a BS answer, but it's the truth. I purposely put out those videos to show people what I'm doing, because people, it's interesting. People ask how I came about a YouTube channel. You know how my YouTube channel happened? And by the way, I'm very grateful to all of you guys, and I mean it. It warms my heart every time I get a new subscriber, and it really warms my heart when you guys put nice comments and share my videos. It really does. But the reason I started doing videos is people always thought my stuff was fake, and I got really sick of it. And I was at a bridal fair 3-4 years ago, and I finally turned to my assistant Joyce and I said, yeah, I'm tired of this crap. I'm going to start videotaping every freaking shoot I do, so people will stop thinking that it's fake, because I'm sick of it. So so now we record everything, and it's fantastic. So but watch the videos, understand light. And one thing that's incredibly important to understand, if you shoot with me, and hopefully many of you will get a chance to shoot with me at some point, if you shoot with me, here's one thing you're going to learn. Because I'm the god of photography, I don't take bad shots because I choose not to shoot when the lighting sucks. I mean, you guys got to understand that. If lighting sucks, put your camera down, because you're wasting time, and you're wasting post-production, you're wasting memory space, you're wasting everything. You need to focus on taking great shots. You need to be more deliberative, and you need to be more picky with what you shoot. That's going to really help you. In other words, if you're going to do a free shoot or go out and do a landscape or whatever, go when the lighting is awesome. Now, I know some of you might be saying, well, I can't just go when the lighting's awesome because of the fact that it's a bride and I have to shoot at X time. That's different. I'm talking about you guys learning. So how to expose for everything in the shot. First and foremost, find your main lighting source. If you're shooting into the sun, which is a sin that most photographers do incessantly because they have not learned how to properly do everything. They shoot into the sun to get some artistic look with the lens flare, blah, blah, blah. Again, it's good for a couple shots, but the problem is our industry has turned it into every shot. That's a serious problem, and it's a fad, and it'll go away. But in regards to shooting that, that sun being behind your back, not straight in the sky, that's the first and most important thing, right? Because if you're shooting into the sun, how are you going to expose for the incredible brightness of the sun with the darkness of the ground? You're not. It's not going to work unless you shoot HDR and bracketing, which I don't do. So get that sun behind you and get some beautiful shots. I think that'll really help. Okay, I'm going to get to as many of these as I possibly can, guys. I love the fact that you guys are on here, and I truly, truly do appreciate it. Oscar asks, what kind of camera do you recommend for a beginner to intermediate photographer? The Sony a6000. There's no easier way to learn photography than the Sony a6000. Being able to see the changes, being able to change everything on your camera and watch it change, either in the live view or in the viewfinder. There's no easier way for you to learn photography. It's the a6000. What are your thoughts on the 2.8 versus f4 zooms? This is a great question by Steve. Your thoughts on the 2.8 versus f4? High ISO today, is 2.8 really necessary? No, it's not. That's such an awesome question. Great insight there. And especially if you shoot with the A7S, who gives a crap? Now, I know the pros are going to watch this. Oh, 2.8 matters. I love 2.8, guys. Don't get me wrong. But the question is this. On a straight f4 versus a straight 2.8, with the ISO sensitivity that we now have available to us, it's not as critical. It's just not. I take that A7S, for example, into these weddings that I shoot, and where I used to need a 1.8 or faster to be able to get some of the shots. Now I just crank it up to 3, 4, 5, 6,000 ISO. I'm getting gorgeous results. So yeah, great question. I wouldn't, you know, like the 70 to 200 2.8. That's $2,000. I mean, come on, that's ridiculous. With my A7S or I just put that 55 to 210 on it. Crank my ISO up and I'm getting gorgeous shots. Lens is $300. You tell me. Now, one thing that a lot of people commented on that 10 reasons video is, oh, a pro shouldn't care about cost. A true pro shouldn't care about cost. You know what, guys? Kiss my butt. Seriously. How can you say you don't care about cost? You're a professional in business. Do you get that last two words? In business. What are you in business to do? Make money. If you can buy something that gets you amazing results for $2,000 or something that's going to cost you $20,000, why would you not save the 18,000 bucks? Okay, unless you're freaking Donald Trump. But guess what? Photographers don't make millions and millions of dollars. So you snobby pros out there who sit there and say, oh, you shouldn't care about this. You know, you guys, that's why newer photographers are so turned off by you. And I'm talking to you snobby pros, and I'm sure this will get hate stuff on it, but bring it on, guys. You guys are freaking snobs. And I get so tired of it. I go to these photography conventions and watch. Not everyone, I want to make that abundantly clear, not everyone is like this, but this is for the select snobs out there. You know, you guys, you're going to die. You're going to be dinosaurs and die because people aren't going to like you anymore. Start being nice to people. Stop saying that people can't get into the market unless they have $30,000 to spend on equipment. That's bullcrap. And the bottom line is a lot of you got scared because Jason Lanier, whoever starts talking about A6000s, all of a sudden photographers can get in the market for $1,000. Now you're terrified that there's more photographers in the market. Well, guess what? If you're really good at what you do, you don't care how many photographers there are. That's the bottom line. Just be good at your craft and stop trying to put people down when you're insecure. All right. Sorry about that. You guys are inundating me. How big do you blow up your picture size-wise? You know, it depends on my clients, you know, I don't know. I think the average will be like a, 16 by 24, 20 by 30. You know, some of my Africa prints I've done larger, but the 24 by 36, and you can do much bigger, but yeah, that's the average. I'm looking to send in low light inside of concerts as well as landscapes. A6000 or the A7, A7S. A7, and that S matters tremendously. It's the low light king of photography, of cameras. Get the A7S. Chris Creek says, Jason, if you ever go back to Nikon, the D750 is excellent. I'm sure it is. And like I even said in my video, I have nothing but love for Nikon. I seriously do. I'm never going to say anything poor about Nikon because I'm emotionally still attached to Nikon. I didn't make a switch because of the fact that I got paid to switch. I made a switch because of the technology. So, but the 750, I'm sure I hear great things about it. But still, despite the fact that I know it does the tilt screen, I know it does, Wi-Fi and a few other stuff like that, it still doesn't have a few things. And on top of that, it's heavy. And again, you could say I'm a wimp, whatever. You carry that around. You know how many pros that are later have shoot 20, 30 years, they have tennis elbow problems. They have problems with their joints. That's something to think about for all you guys who want to shoot for years and years and years. And for me, somebody like me who literally climbs into caves and caverns, that weight over hours and hours and hours of walking, yeah, it matters. The fact that I can take with me in one backpack, or I can take 2 camera bodies, the A7s, and a ton of lenses in one small Think Tank backpack, that's totally the way to go. Oh, by the way, Think Tank I am an affiliate with Think Tank. If you guys go to, was it thinktankphoto.com/workshops, you can put in the promo code WS658 and you get a free gift with any purchase. Think Tank's the best. See, there you go. I told you I'm part of Think Tank. All right. consider posting shutter speed, f-stop, and ISO stats with? Actually, I do it quite a bit, BJ. It's on Facebook. I usually post it. Somebody asked me a question, and I apologize. I don't remember your name, and I really do apologize. But one thing I pride myself on is sharing my EXIF data. Somebody asked me why the EXIF data isn't showing up on Flickr, and it's only because I post to Flickr straight. It posts automatically from Instagram, and I don't know why they remove the EXIF data. But for me to post to multiple, the only way that I can do it is through Instagram. So I post separately to Facebook, but then I'll post to Instagram from there. So I don't know why it's removed the transfer from Instagram to Flickr, but it is. But yeah, if you go to Facebook, most of the time I'll put the settings. Steve Abrams, planning to go out to WPPI for the first time next year. Any tips on how I can get the most out of the convention and when to show up? Don't bother. Okay, WPPI is not around like this either, but let me put it this way. The best time to go to WPPI is going to be when the convention starts. You can do some classes ahead of time, but if it's your first time, I'd recommend really getting in there and absorbing some of what they say. Definitely come to my workshop, because I do a workshop right after WPPI. Like literally, WPPI ends on Wednesday and my workshop's Thursday, Friday. But one thing I'll really tell you is go to the trade show floors, play with the cameras, play with the gear. It's, you know, you can go to B&H Photo or whatever, but you can go to that trade show and you can learn a ton of stuff by going through that trade show floor. One thing that I'm possibly looking at doing is gathering a group to go with me through the trade show, so I can answer questions for you guys. Just have a blast. So that might be something I do every year at WPPI. Don't forget this for those that are going. Every night I go out and shoot something wild and crazy, either if it's on the strip or somewhere else, and we'll be putting stuff out for that. So if you're going to WPPI, make sure to keep an eye out for that. Chris Creek, why do you let the haters get under your skin so bad? They don't get under my skin. But Chris, you know, there's people who see a bully and they walk the other way, and there's people who see a bully and they deck them. That's me. They don't get under my skin. They inspire me. And I think, to answer your question, I know so many photographers who come to my workshops who let people say nasty things to them, and they may just delete the comment or they may just let it go. But they tell me how much that impacts them. You know, when someone punches you over and over and you do nothing about it, you lose self-respect. It's just the truth. And you can't respond to all of them. I respond to very little. You guys have no many that I just ban and delete. I ban and delete 10 times more than I reply. But it's important that you reply. I don't think it's appropriate for people to think that they can just come onto your page, write whatever they want, and then you don't have a right to respond. You know, one guy was trolling on me, and he's like, hey, you know, well, what do you just wait for people to, you just wait to post a reply to comments? And I'm like, wait a minute, this is my work that I put out. You commented on it, but now I don't have the right to reply. It's just the way I was born, to be honest with you guys. I'm a fighter, and, you know, I enjoy shutting them up. I do. And I enjoy poking the dog a little bit, not gonna lie. So we'll see how that goes. What else? Let me see if I can get to some of the really earlier questions. Oh, James, Tim, are you asking about the EXIF data on Flickr? Yeah. And so I already answered that. Andrew Herman, what kind of TTL flash do you use with the A7? I don't. I hate TTL. I hate anything that's auto except autofocus. So on my cameras, I shoot autofocus. Everything else is manual. Everything else, the flash is manual. You know, you guys don't need to be scared of the flash and manual. Where's my flash? My flash is upstairs. The bottom line is you just hit the button. You come to one of my workshops or just watch one of my videos, you'll see me. I'll just turn it, tick around, and I'll find find the right power output, and I'll get it. And the reason you have to do that is because if you do TTL, and I did this way before I went to Sony. I've been shooting manual power output on my flash for years, my entire career on my Nikons. It's because I wanted a different look. I wanted to have more contrast and more pop in my images, and I do that through manually controlling the power output on my flash. So no, I don't use TTL at all. What else here? Lots and lots and lots of questions. Okay, Barbara Seeger. I've been using the A6000 for 3 months and love it. I'm about to sell my Nikon D600. Can you please give an idea of a good flash trigger I can use for off-camera flash for the A6000? It would be the Interfit. Strobies. They work great. The little trigger goes right onto the shoe of the camera, and it works fantastic. Now those only work with the Interfit flashes, the ones I was showing you guys earlier. But yeah, it's definitely a great way to go. Our macro lens is great for portraits. Matt Newman asks, they're fantastic. I love the 105 macro. That's a Nikon lens. I love the 105 macro for portraits. I'll use it quite a bit, and it's beautiful. Oh my gosh, the fall off the bokeh, Risca, whatever. It's beautiful. So yeah, I definitely have the 105. BJ asks, I had a website here in Phoenix, asked to use some of my hometown images. I feel honored and agreed. If I or anyone were to ask for compensation for this, what would a proper compensation be to ask for? I think it depends on where your photography's at and what your images are going to be used for. If you're talking about you get a great shot and that ends up being used in a national ad campaign for Starbucks or whatever, you definitely want to make sure you have compensation for that. So understand the scope of what they're going to use the images for. It's an honor for us to have our images displayed. I know that's makes us feel great, and that's fantastic. But make sure that you feel duly compensated. I think a good starting point at a bare minimum, is $500 to be compensated for doing something. I mean, the last thing you want to do is give away your stuff and then you feel like, man, they used my images for like 3 years and never got anything from it. Even if you only got $500. Now, I would charge a lot more for that. I just did an ad shoot, and I got paid $16,000 for 2 days. So I'm not bragging. I'm just telling you guys what I made, because a lot of times people, wonder how much professional photographers make. My average wedding, I'll get 7 to 12 grand. Just depends on what the wedding is. So there you go. There's the holy grail, the secret thing that nobody ever wants to tell. The other thing too is all photographers negotiate. All photographers have different rates. Well, I can't say all. I can't speak for everyone, but the vast majority do. Are you still using rotolights? Haven't seen them used in a while. I have the rotolights, and I haven't used them ever since I bought this thing that I went through earlier. Not hating on rotolite. They're great guys, but the thing that this has versus the rotolite is this has the dimmer, which is critical, and it has the Kelvin, the white balance. Oscar says you should do a critique and have fans show you their work. Yeah, that's definitely something we can look at doing. I will look at doing something like that once I have finished all of my work. My brides watch me doing all this crazy stuff on social media, and they're like, Jason, where are my shots? Where are my shots? I mean, my brides are the best brides in the world, and they totally understand that this is critical to my business. But yeah, in the future, definitely we'll do something like that. And it's also something that I'm going to look at incorporating into my workshop series, where I can get more and more people some feedback on their shots. One thing that I do is I do one-on-ones where I give people the opportunity to learn from me privately, and a lot of people choose to use that time to have me critique their work, and it has really helped a lot of photographers. What else? Okay, Jason, you had told me on Instagram that you take around 15 seconds to edit a photo in Lightroom. Could you elaborate? What are you adjusting in that 15 seconds? 15 seconds is probably even a stretch, because in Lightroom, if you guys don't know this, you edit one shot, right? So let's say you take, 20 shots, and they're all the same exposure and same lighting scenario, pretty much the same composition, like at a wedding, like if the bride and groom walk, they just had their first kiss and they're walking from their, from the gazebo or whatever back towards you down the center aisle. If all of those shots look the same relatively, you fix one shot and then you select the other 19 and you hit sync, fix all 19 of them at once. So in essence, I probably fixed 20 shots in 20 seconds. And then you go through, and the reason I say it's 15 seconds is then after you've done that, then you go through and tweak them a little bit. I'll move the sliders, I'll play with the sliders. I don't do a lot of editing, and it's just the truth. There's the brush tool inside of Lightroom where you can go and select certain things inside of there, and then you can change things selectively, kind of like you would in Photoshop with layers and masks. But I don't even do a lot of that either, because you got to be careful. You don't want banding. You don't want different exposure levels in your image. You got to be careful, when you do that, not to do it too much, because if you do, it'll make the picture look off, and I don't like it to look off. I like the changes to be kind of universal. That's when they tend to flow better and look better. But so yeah, I'm just going in there, deciding I'm using presets. So I'll make one of my presets in Lightroom, apply it to a certain amount of images, and then just tweak it a little bit, to be honest with you. So mess around with, the sliders that I really use are the, exposure, your blacks, your whites, highlights, shadows, clarity. I don't use vibrance or saturation too much, but then just pick the tone that you want for your image. You got, one thing that you're going to work on in Lightroom is definitely going to be the tone, picking your color temperature. But that's about it for the vast majority of my shots. Thomas says, it's rare to hear photographers speaking honestly, even to hear what you should charge. I would be embarrassed to ask such a question, but it's great that you answer truthfully. Yeah, I'm tired of people not helping others. I don't know why people are so scared. Again, Chris asked earlier, why do I let the haters get under my skin? That same personality, that feistiness that I have, translates into me being very forthright with all of my answers too, because I don't care. I have such a unique confidence level that I'm not worried about other photographers. I don't know any photographers in my area. I don't. When my 10 Reasons video came out, someone thought it was hilarious. He says, I live 10 miles from the guy. And he and I had never heard of each other. Well, it's because I don't study other photographers in my area. I'm worried about myself. People ask me all the time, who do you really admire? Now, there are great photographers out there, but I don't study other photographers. I've always been focused on me being better. And I always knew what I wanted to capture in my head. The real trick was for me to learn how to create it, right? Because you have it locked up inside of here, but the biggest frustration that I had was I had it in here, but I couldn't get it out on my camera. So I worked tirelessly to perfect that. And that came through doing, guys, I can't tell you how many hundreds of thousands, if not millions, no joke, of shutter clicks that I've done to get where I'm at. Nothing will ever beat hard work. And the honest truth is, the reason I don't worry about a lot of other photographers either is because there's only a certain small percentage of people that are really going to be willing to do what it takes to be the best. That's true of any profession. There's tons of professions, sports, doctors, whatever it is. The cream rises to the top for a reason. It's because the cream fights to get to the top. And if you guys don't understand that, you're not going to be very successful. So instead of worrying about everyone else, worry about yourself. Worry about yourself. And if you do that, you're going to be 10 times more successful than the guy next to you. So I don't worry about who's living next to me, what everyone else charges in my area. It's completely inconsequential. I could give a crap. What I care about is, am I being compensated for my work? I'll shoot. I'm shooting the wedding. You want more honesty? I'm shooting a wedding for $3,000 in January. Here's a quick story. Bride comes up to us at one of our sales events, says, "Oh my gosh, I love your photography. I'll never be able to afford you, but I just wanted to let you know." And I said, "Well, flattery works really well on me. So tell me why you love my photography." "Oh, it's just so different, blah, blah, blah." So I said, "I'll tell you what, if you get married on a Wednesday in January," which is dead for me, when am I going to shoot a wedding on a Wednesday in January? I said, "I'll do it for $3,000. She literally came back 45 minutes later, said, "I booked it. It's Wednesday in January. You're going to keep your word." Her name's Carrie, and I said, "Absolutely, wedding." The rest is history. So that's just the way I am. I love having flexibility in my business, and I love being able to do what I want to do. So I just think, guys, one thing you should know is a lot of people are full of hot air, and I don't admire those people. I admire what you show me rather than what you tell me. That plagues our industry, people who really don't know what in the world they're doing. So, you know how many people buy likes? When people get on it, Facebook, you know how many people have 20, 30, 40, 50,000 fans? They're advertising, guys. That's how they get them, right? I can tell you, and if there's a way for me to prove it, I will. I've never, like my YouTube, all those 17,000, almost 18,000 subscribers as of the time of this video, it's all organic. I've never paid for a single one. I don't believe in it. And it's not because advertising is wrong. It's because I want it to be real. I want people to come and watch me and view my videos. And if you just buy likes and buy Instagrams and buy whatever, those people aren't going to actually watch your stuff. So when I got into an online discussion with somebody, and I disagreed with what a photographer asked about how to shoot something, and I respectfully disagreed with him. And he told me that I was full of crap, which is fine. But then the funny thing was, he goes, "Check my page, bro." And that was his witty way of telling me to look at. He had 22,000 subscribers. I don't care how many subscribers or followers you have. I care about your work. So keep that in mind, guys. Do I want my numbers to rise? Sure, I do. But I want my numbers to be real, and they are real. Steve, can you recommend a good flash for the Sony A7R for comic convention photography? Also, what is the best way to take a picture of a statue behind a glass without getting a reflection from the glass? Okay, good. The best flash that I know of is the Nikon SB910. So I love that flash. So I would get the SB910. Again, some people say, what about TTL? I don't shoot in TTL. So if TTL is critical for you, you're going to have to go get a Sony flash if you shoot with the 7R. But again, I never, ever, ever use TTL. So, but that's what I would get, would be the SB910. What is the best way to take a picture of a statue behind glass without getting a reflection from the glass? Get a polarizing filter on your camera. Shoot it when you have natural light coming and hitting the shadow or the statue. And that's when you're going to get a great shot. Have you ever shot with somebody? Okay. Have you ever shot with film camera as opposed to digital? Oh, absolutely, Thomas. I cut my teeth on Nikon film, the Nikon 5005. I mean, I bought my first camera when I saved up all my money for my paper route. No joke, 3 years doing paper routes, and I bought my first camera when I was 15, and I was hooked. And so, yeah, I shot with film for 15 years before I went to digital. And that could be another reason why my shots look different, is because I'm not just a creature of digital photography. And my shots also look different just because I shoot landscapes and I incorporate the fundamentals of landscape photography into my into all the other work that I do. Thomas says, I love the shot you took of the car and the bride on a workshop when the car went so close to you. You did a fantastic shot. I also love the Disney shots. Well, thank you. Yes, people think I'm nuts for letting that car drive. It was going 50 miles an hour, and my best friend Bannon was driving it. It was crazy. It was very stupid, but that's kind of what I am. So you want to call me stupid, that's fine. It's probably true. Not intellectually, but from a crazy standpoint, I'm definitely off my rocker. Do any of your YouTube videos go over camera settings, light settings for off-camera flash? This is by Jerry Tomko. I'm having a difficult time with it due to the chemo stuff. Sorry about your chemo, Jerry. Glad to know that you're still with us. But do I ever go over that? I can. I don't mind at all. I'm trying to think how to do it without the video. I've never wanted my videos to be like, okay, boys and girls, here's I'm shooting at 2/50th of a second at f3.5 with power output of 1/16 on my flash. I've never wanted it to be that, but I know that could probably help a lot of people. The only thing you need to really understand as it comes to off-camera flash is, it's not just the power output, but it's the distance. It's where you put your flash. Are you using a softbox or diffuser on it? There's a lot of different variables as it relates to shooting with the off-camera flash. So keep that in mind. But definitely, I'll see what I can do to help you with that. Chris says, we have to talk to you later about how much you'll charge for our wedding. Chris says, I'll charge you 20 grand, Chris. Chris is one of my workshop attendees, and he's been to many of my workshops, and now he's a very good friend. So you let me know when you're getting married, and I'll work it out with you guys. Not a big deal. Alter Design said, I'd love to see a short video of the A6000 and some setting. I would even pay for this. Okay. I mean, if you guys want me to start putting out some content on settings, I can do that. Definitely see what I can do to help. Let me see what other questions you guys have. Alter Designs, great question. Would you recommend a beginner to go out and shoot a wedding on their own? I'm having an issue getting a pro to let me shadow. Oh, imagine that. Pros don't want to help you. What a shocker. The response in this area is to curse me and say no very harshly. That's because pros, so many of them are just freaking clueless. They have no people skills. God, it drives me crazy. But first and foremost, if you guys want to come to, shadow me and do my intern program, if you're in Southern California, come on down. You guys can come, not a problem. Second thing is, how do you? Would I recommend for you guys to go out and do a wedding on your own? Sure, why not? Now, the caveat to that is don't go book a wedding for $2,000, because then you're setting false expectations. But can you go and book a wedding for $250, $500 and shoot it? Absolutely. Here's what you need to do. Show the client your true level of competency. Show them what you are capable of doing. Once they've signed on to what you're capable of doing, then they've purchased you at your current competency level. As such, if you deliver that same or better competency level for their wedding, there should be no problem. How else are you going to learn? So go out, do a wedding, start making money. Now, some people say, oh, I'm terrified of ruining somebody's once-in-a-lifetime memories. Okay, if the client is terrified of losing those once-in-a-lifetime memories by having a beginner shoot their wedding, then they should be paying more than $250. My point is, people hire me and pay me lots of money. If I screw up a wedding, I'm in big trouble, super big trouble. But guess what? I've shot 300 whatever weddings, right? So if you go and you shoot a wedding for $250, make sure to put the expectations levels where they belong, which is very low to the ground. They should not expect my work, anybody else's work who's a really good pro. They should not expect that level of work. It's just the truth. So if you guys keep that in mind, don't be scared. Go out and do it, guys. Grab life by the horns. Get out there and shoot. Don't let other people push you down. And whenever somebody wants to push you down, tell them to go kick rocks. What else? All right. Alan says, I suggest that you do a settings for manual flash in a live shooting situation. Show the initial trial and error to zero the exposure. And okay, I can maybe do that. That'd be fun. I can do that on like a, I can do that on a, like one of these maybe in the future. No problem. when you use off-camera flash on a bride, what are you thinking? Are you looking to create dramatic shadows? Are you trying to create even light? If I'm just trying to do even light, then I'm pretty much doing on-camera flash. If I'm using off-camera flash to create different angles and different shadows for a more dramatic look. So anytime I'm using off-camera flash, is definitely for a more dramatic look. Oscar asks, I'm in Southern California. Where are you located in California, Jason? I'm in Temecula area, which is in between San Diego and Los Angeles. And I have 3 more weddings this month. So Oscar, you want to come? Go on to my JasonLanierWorkshops.com website, fill out the intern program form, and we'll be in touch. Maurice asks, what do your wedding clients receive for products, prints, albums, etc.? Okay, great question. Number one, I don't do proofs, like physical proofs for, and there's going to be some photographers who disagree with this. There's not really a right and a wrong way. What there is the way that works for you. I fly all over the world. I shoot all over the world. I'm always on the go. I don't have the business model set up where I sit down with clients with physical proofs and go over physical proofs and try to sell them a ton of images based on that. That's just not my business model. My business model is to charge a good amount, a good fair amount for my services, and to make my money on the shoot, albums and prints and so on and so forth. Now, can my clients get all of that? Of course they can. You can't run a wedding photography business and not provide those things. But the albums and all that, I upload all of my stuff to Pictage, and then Pictage handles my print fulfillment. One thing I can really recommend and advise you guys on is for the love of God, don't try to fulfill print orders on your own. Unless you have a big share of your own printers, all that jazz, that's a different level. But I have all of my stuff fulfilled by Pictage, and I don't worry about it. And I never worry about my clients getting their stuff. I think in 7 years of Pictage, I've only received 2 calls that were unhappy brides, and I told them, call Pictage, tell them to fix it, and if they don't, I'll be in touch with them. And I've never received a second call back. I pay Pictage to do that. How much? The pro plan is $100 a month, and then they make a certain amount on the prints, like an 8 by 10. I don't know. I don't want to be wrong, but for example, an 8 by 10, I think their cost is $2. So I charge my clients $4 or $5. I don't know. As you can tell, the print stuff isn't first and foremost on my mind. I don't make that much money off of it. Albums, yeah, albums you make a lot more. But there's a lot of design and time that goes into albums. So maybe 20, no, higher than that, 30-40% of my clients get albums, and it's done through Willowbook, which is connected with Pictage. But that's what I do, and works really well for me. Rafa Escudero asks, how can I take photos in a nightclub without an external flash? Get a Sony A7S. I'm not trying to be a smart aleck, but if you really don't want to use flash, or you don't want to use video light, then you're gonna have to use a camera with really high ISO capabilities. The only other one that would really get in that stratosphere, but not even close, is the D4S. But the D4S is $6,500. So, before everyone goes nuts, the D4S and the A7S are different cameras. Okay. D4S is much faster. A7S has much better ISO. I mean, they're different cameras, but they're still $4,000 price difference, and that's what's critical to me. And when I said that stuff on the 10 reasons, people are like, oh, the Sonys don't have weather stripping and aluminum steel alloy, blah blah blah. Guys, I'm not getting into that. I'm just telling you what works for me. So I would get the Sony A7S just because of the ISO. If you want to shoot inside of there, that's what you're going to have to do. You guys saw that shot that I posted on Facebook of the bride and groom dancing. It's the black and white. That's what the A7S. That's what it can do in a very dark. That was very much like a club. Lots of lights, but that was very close to what you'd experience in a club. And go look at that shot. It's pretty killer. Jason, I'm just tuning in now. Just got off work. Love your channel. Have learned so much through your videos. Awesome to see a live Q&A. Well, thank you, John. It's nice that you joined. I appreciate you coming on. Cindy says, thanks. This has been great. Please keep doing these. You got it, sister. What else? Do you recommend, created by BTR, asks, do you recommend Lightroom over Camera Raw for Photoshop? If so, why? Absolutely. 100%. Don't even have to think about the question, and it's because of the processing. I mean, opening up each camera, or opening up each image, each raw file, and tweaking it, no way. Open them right up into Lightroom, tweak them there, and be done. Lightroom, man, Photoshop should be reserved for skin softening, for very high-end enhancements. Lightroom is very powerful, and it can do a lot. And you know, I don't even soften my bride's skin. I just know how to shoot. I'm not trying to be a snobby pro, but if you know how to shoot, you don't have to do all those tweaks. And that's what I really am trying to teach people to do, is make their photography more real by getting it right in the camera. Rafa asked, do you have Twitter? I do. I've never paid attention to Twitter, but I need to start paying attention. My Twitter handle is @JLanierPhoto. So please follow me there, so you can be a Twitterer or whatever it is. What else? Alter Designs. What would you recommend for minimal and equipment for doing a wedding? I'd recommend at least having 2 camera bodies. Now, some of you might say, oh my gosh, I don't have the money to do that. Again, if you're shooting a $250 wedding, then the bride is lucky with what she gets. There's going to be one person in the world who's very offended by that statement. It's just the truth. If you don't like it, fork over some more money. You don't go buy a $250 car and then complain when it breaks down a block after you bought it from the guy's house, right? You paid $250. You get what you pay for. If you don't like it, fork over some more money. You don't have more money, I sincerely am sorry for your situation. But guess what? I don't go to Taco Bell and expect filet mignon. I get what I get. What else? I'm trying to go through all these guys. Thank you so much for all of the questions. Lloyd Allen. Lloyd is one of my buddies from Niagara Falls. I really, really like him. He's a fun guy. He came to a workshop in Niagara Falls. Do you have a studio, or is all of your work on location? 4 years ago, I gave up my studio in Beverly Hills. I had a studio, very prime area in Beverly Hills. This isn't anything against studio photographers. I had a studio/showroom that I shared with another photographer, and I never went. Never, ever, ever went. And after my wife and I were sitting around, she goes, Jace, when was the last time you went to the studio? And I said, I think it's been 6 months. So I was paying all this rent for a place that I never used. And kind of like I was mentioning earlier about the editing, I'm an outdoor creature. And so now if I need to do any studio work, which I did recently, I have a video coming out sometime in the future. I don't know when, but it shows me doing a studio session, which I think you guys will love because it was with a really awesome couple. But they rent the studio. They're required to rent a studio if they want me to do studio work. So I'm very comfortable doing it, but it's not something I prefer to do. Someone says, I have 2 A6000 cameras. My wife is wanting to learn at the same time, so I have the advantage. Thanks for making me feel better about that. You're more than welcome. Arturs Clavis asks, for weddings, cheaper new cameras, lenses, or old pro bodies and lenses? I would go away from the older bodies because it's just the technology sucks. So I really go away from that. I would definitely go into the newer bodies because the newer sensors, guys, are killing those old sensors. I mean, the ability on those new sensors compared to the older ones are tremendous. You know, some of the people out there, the pros, are going to say, oh, how could you say to not use the old glass? I love great glass, but if you have to choose, you're going to shoot with newer cameras and cheaper lenses. And then when you have the ability and the money, you buy new lenses. Pretty much that simple. And that's what I did. And it's what every photographer that I know did too. Very few photographers, very few people have the money to go out and buy $30,000 a gear. So you buy a decent camera with cheap kit lenses, and as your business progresses, you switch out those kit lenses with nice primes and beautiful lenses, Nikon, Canon, or Sony. So that's what I recommend. Thomas asks, what's the worst thing that had happened to you on a shoot, or any horror stories? Oh man, I have so many. Gosh, one of my photographers, we flew and we shot a wedding in Florida. This was 6 years ago at Club Med. I think it was Club Med. I can't. It's one of those resorts. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But it's one of those. It's important. Port St. Lucie, Florida, and the bride, when we showed up, she was completely drunk, 100% drunk. She was double fisting Budweisers. my buddy Don and I looked at each other like, oh my gosh, this was 2 hours before the ceremony. She's getting married on a helicopter pad in August, okay, in Florida, super hot. So then the bride proceeds to take forever, and I mean forever, to get ready. And the ceremony started an hour and 15 minutes late, and half the guests had left. And this wasn't because she couldn't get ready. It's just she was bridezilla to the max. And so we go out there, we shoot the ceremony. She's staggering down the aisle, and it was just an atrocious event. But here's where it gets better. We end the ceremony, and they had purchased open bar until, I don't remember the exact time, let's say 6 o'clock. And the open bar ended at 6. And because she started so late, no one got to the open bar by the time that they were supposed to. So the ceremony was supposed to end at, I don't know, 4:30, have open bar till 6. Well, it ended at 5:45. So like cattle, they ran over, mass exodus, like Moses going across the desert, ran to the bar. They pillaged, they plundered. It was ridiculous. It's abuse. So we shoot the wedding, and she comes out to me, slurred speech, and starts saying, hey, I didn't get my Jason Lanier shoot. That's what some of my clients will call it, which is where I go out and do their couple shoot. And I said, I'm not going to say her name, but I said, well, you weren't able to do the shoot. What's that supposed to mean? Well, you were inebriated. You are inebriated. And she said, what? And and she went nuts. And so then that was, and I just said, look, I'm available, but you guys chose to go to the bar. If you want to go out now and do shots, we can. She goes, well, it's dark. I said, well, honey, you made that decision. And so we proceeded to go into the reception hall. We're shooting it. During the first dance, she starts screaming at me. You effing blah, 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 blah. You didn't take my pictures. And the wedding guests they're drunk. Everyone's looking at me cross-eyed. So I was a professional. I finished shooting her first dance. I walked over to her and I said, I'm not shooting until you apologize, until you change your behavior. That was ridiculous. You guys may not think this is true. This story is straight up true. I don't exaggerate. I just tell stories the way they are. So she comes up, and I went and sat down and started, importing footage. I was still working. But the maid of honor comes up, which was her sister, and she says, Jason, the bride is very sorry. I said, well, she needs to come tell me herself, not because I'm trying to be prideful, but I need to make sure this doesn't happen again. So I need to have a concrete, substantive conversation with her to make sure she doesn't do this again. And she says she won't. I said, then I'm not going to shoot. I'm not going to be abused at a wedding, period. And I made a decision when I went into my career. I wasn't going to do bridezillas. I watched those stupid bridezilla shows where they treat photographers like junk. And I said, I'm not doing that. I'm not hired to be your whipping person. So it took this bride another 45 minutes to finally come over and say, Jason, I'm sorry, and I'm going to behave. Okay, great. Let's shoot. I went back and shot. Now, the kicker to this whole endeavor was, at the time, I didn't collect all my money up front. I was a newer photographer, and so she owed me $2,000, and I said I need to get that money. Now it's 1 a.m. because at the time I also told clients, which is really stupid, I stay until the reception ends. Don't do that, guys. Charge by the hours. Don't ever do that. So she's sitting there and she's not paying me. And it got to the point where I said her name and I said, you have got to give me my money. And she said, oh, well, we'll just get it to you within the next couple of days. And we went back and forth and back and forth. And then the guys are getting belligerent because they're drunk. And I finally said, look, I flew all the way out here from California. I'm already eating the cost of that plane ticket if you don't pay me. I said, but I'll tell you what, if you don't pay me right now, I'm not joking, I'm going to show you as I delete your images from your wedding. Because what you're doing to me is theft. So if you're not going to pay me to shoot your wedding, then I'm not going to have shot it. And then, oh, we're going to kick your bleepity bleep. And I'm like, do what you got to do, but I'm gonna stand my ground until I get my money. So she went, and finally they wrote me a check. And I was like, I don't know if this thing will clear. And I took it to my bank. No joke. The writing on it was so bad. I mean, you could not make out anything on it. Luckily, I had a good relationship with my bankers, so they said, what does this say? And I said, I told them. And they cashed the check for me, and after it went through is when I gave her images. But I mean, alcohol does some stupid things to people. I mean, I've had people try to punch me. I've had gear stolen at weddings, and that's unfortunate. But don't put up with stuff. Don't be rude. Be professional. Always maintain your composure. I've had people scream at me. I never scream back. I just hold my ground and go from there. So we're gonna go for about another 10 minutes, guys. So if you have any questions, let me know. I've been using the Olympus OMDE M5. That sounds like a code to Fort Knox. I'm looking into getting the Sony A7S. Is it worth getting a new camera, or should I stay on my Olympus? Get rid of the Olympus. A7S is that good. It is. I mean, a silent shutter. And just, guys, you get the A7S for one reason. ISO. ISO. If you want to do amazing shots at night and shots that other people aren't getting, get the A7S. Eager Snake, thanks for pushing the Sony systems. Yeah, well, Eager Snake, tell Sony, because they need to be paying me for this. Richard says, I have both the A6000 and the A7. I find the A6000 better focusing than the A7. Well, you should. I mean, the A6000 is 179 focal points. The A7 doesn't have nearly that amount. So, yeah, the A6000, the focus is ridiculous on it. Somebody asked, what would you recommend for a wider lens on the A6000 since it's the primary? This is the primary camera. I would get the 16mm Sony E-mount with the wide-angle adapter. That'll go pretty wide. With the wide-angle adapter, it's the full-frame equivalent of 18mm, so it's really good. Vance says, oh, that's Vance who asked me the question about the Olympus. Created by BTR, what are some of the biggest lessons that you learned when shooting photography? I know this is a very general question, but hard to answer. You know, the best lesson I got in photography was patience. Patience. I know that's a general answer, but the most impatient photographers are usually the worst. I don't have patience for people not doing their job when I'm shooting. That I'm very impatient about. But it's patience in letting the shot come, understanding when it's going to come. It's slowing down so you are mentally available to get the shot that you want. I think that's critical. Doing those things really change the way that you approach photography. I think some of the times landscape photographers are the best photographers because they're forced to be patient. You know, you go to shoot a sunrise, you guys know when you see these sunrise shots by me or others, a lot of times we went out 10 mornings, and 9 of them, the sunrise wasn't very good. Clouds didn't break. Color wasn't there. There weren't the right ingredients there to make it an amazing sunrise. So you're forced to go over and over and over and over again. So patience and persistence. I think that if you can incorporate that into your photography, you're going to be 10 times better than if you don't. I remember when I was a newer photographer, I was shooting an event, and there was another photographer there who had a camera, and I don't even know the guy's name, and I never spoke to him, but he put his camera down, and on it he had cut a Post-it note and just had a tiny bit of the Post-it note left on the back of his camera. But on the back of the Post-it note, it said, slow down. He wrote it in caps and underlined it, slow down. And I never, ever forgot that. I thought, man, that is so true, because I miss so many shots because I go too fast. So I think that's what I've learned, and I hope that helps you guys. 2 more questions. Can you please explain the focus peaking on the Sony? Let me see here. I don't know if this will show up in the camera. Let me see here. All right, let me see. Let me get a lens that. This is the beast that I create almost all my shots with. This is the Rokinon 14 millimeter. Truly, truly phenomenal lens. And guess what? It wasn't $2,000. It was $400, and it's amazing. I'm sure somebody somewhere, some pro is going to tell me I'm off my rocker. That's fine. I don't care. I'll just keep getting the results I get. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can. All right, I'm going to try to do this. Now, in the camera, let me get this here. Again, guys, I didn't plan for this, so I'm going to do the best I can. Let me see if it'll change it. In the camera, well, I can't see it close enough to know whether or not it's working in the camera, but it changes the red. There we go. You hear that sand? How do you protect your cameras? I don't know, keep buying more gear. So in the camera, you might be able to see it. It changes, and you can see the red when it's focusing on something different. That's what focus peaking is. It allows you to see where you're in focus. I hope that came out in the video. I won't know until I watch this if it did. But that focus peaking shows you when you're in perfect focus. So if you're doing manual focus or any video work, that's critical. I mean, it's beyond critical. It's fundamental to be able to do your job. And so with the focus peaking, that was a huge thing for me to be able to see what I'm getting. And I will be absolutely 100% honest with you. You guys see the ring shots that I post. Those macro shots that I post that I'm now getting with the Sony are honestly a lot better than they were on my Nikons. And it's not because the sensor is better on the Sony than the Nikon. And I'm not making any jokes right now. It's just because of the fact that I can dial in and get exactly to the T and see where that red comes on, and you can change it to either red, yellow, or white, I think. But you can change it to where you can see it, and it actually shows you when you're in perfect focus. And to me, that's so important to be able to get that. I mean, if your camera isn't in focus, then you're not going to get great shots. So I hope that's helped with that. And let me take a last question. Okay, Duncan asks, are all the focus points on the A6000 equally sharp right across the frame or lose sharpness to the outside? Okay, I'm going to preface my comment by saying I'm not some photo geek. This answer is based entirely off of what I have seen, not off of some stupid, okay, I need to rephrase, not off of some test done in a laboratory by whoever. Okay. No, I'm not hating on those guys. They have their job and I have mine. All I'm saying is for somebody watching this video, if you're going to come on and comment about how this test points to X, Y, and Z, I don't know about any of that and I don't care. I know about what I see and what I produce. So I would say that there's, you know, on the A6000 for the most part, you're getting beautiful focus all the way around. Not just as with any lens, when you go to the corners, you're going to get some softness. I mean, it's just the truth. But I will tell you, there are 179 focus points on that A6000. It's truly off the charts fantastic as it relates to the autofocus. So no, I don't see really any weaknesses in the autofocus and the focus points on the A6000. And I would say because there are so many points, it definitely gives you a broader range of great focus compared to other cameras. I really stand behind that statement. So a couple things, guys. We have workshops coming out all across the U.S. Stay tuned for that. Please do me a favor. You know, you guys follow me and you guys are putting a bunch of comments, and I really appreciate that. But one thing to keep in mind is you can help me by sharing my videos. That's very important. Sharing my Facebook page, sharing my Instagram. Those things really mean a lot to me to help me to be able to do more of what I do. So the more that you guys do that, the more you help me, and I'm able to in turn help you. I'm getting lots of questions right now. Can you come to Australia? Can you come to all these other areas? The answer to that is yes. And let me state, people ask me about my workshops all the time, and this is important. I started doing my workshops based on an on-demand basis, meaning if you get a group together, I literally schedule it and come. I have a very good feeling, for example, that I'm going to be coming to Phoenix in about 2 weeks. I think that workshop's going to come because I have enough people that are interested there. So if you're in Australia, if you're in Scotland, if you're in Ireland, if you're in England, if you're in India, wherever, yes, the international workshops are going to cost more. How much more? Oh, $5,000. Meaning if you guys get a group together and you have to hit a $5,000 minimum. So if you got 5 people, it's $1,000 each. If you get 10 people, it's $500 each. I come out and do a workshop, 2-day workshop. Okay. For the States, it's a $2,000 minimum. Now, what about travel and all that? That just depends on the time of year and what's going on. If I get a decent plane ticket and travel, I don't charge you for the travel. If it's something where it's like, hey, we really want you to come this certain week, and plane tickets happen to be 3 times the amount of the cost, and it's going to be more. So it just depends on that. But guys, you can have workshops in your area. You just have to help me to put some boots on the ground in that area so I can come to you. And this is how I've done my workshops for years and years, and it's been very, very successful. And I love doing it this way because then I get a lot of excitement in that area. And again, something that's important to me is it's very organic. So I have still so many questions. I'll answer one more. What other Nikon lenses do you use on your Sony manually? I only use the Nikon 105mm. That's it. I have so many beautiful lenses, but that's the only one. Now that Rokinon is a Nikon F-mount lens, but I did buy it specifically for the Sony, so I don't do that. Guys, thanks again. Thanks again for sharing. Please follow my work. Share my work. That means a ton to me, more than you guys know. And one other thing, guys, is if you have any abandoned stuff in your area and you can get me access to it, let me know about it and get me access to it. And I come out there and do a shoot. You guys can tag along and be with me those days, and there's no charge for that. If you get me access to some of these amazing places, we can do some amazing things. And I've done that with Orty. I announced that program just a month or 2 ago, and it's enabled me to go to already some amazing shots like that mine that I did the 10 reasons video at. It was a result of that. Somebody who worked for the mine got me into the mine, which was amazing. So thanks guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure to thumbs up, subscribe, make sure to follow all my videos. I really appreciate it, and I love you guys, and we'll be doing a lot more of these later. So till next time, guys, keep shooting, never give up on your dreams, and remember, you only have one chance to get it right. So get your butts out there. Don't take crap from anybody. Be nice and do a good job. Talk to you later, guys. Bye.